Hello everyone. How are we doing today? I'm finally feeling better, no longer sick, because this was the plan for last week. How are you doing? Welcome. Hey yo, how you been? I hope your week was good and that you had a very enjoyable weekend. So last week I got sick on Tuesday, and honestly, I've never been that sick before. It was something quite extraordinary. I had a fever, I had cold sweats, I had it all, to be honest. But glad that's over with. I was feeling better on Friday, even better on Saturday, and completely better on Sunday. But because I had like a recovery period, I was feeling so tired. Super busy, but I'm managing. But more importantly, it's good to know you're better. Thank God. Thank you so much for your patience and your kind words. It was definitely something. The last time I was sick, I had COVID, and not even COVID was this bad. Like, I'm telling you, these viruses, these colds that are going around, they're the worst. So please protect yourself as much as you can. Stay safe, and always take precautions, because you never know. You never know. But on Sunday, I went to hang out with my friend, and we had a good time together, and it was cool. I haven't seen her in a while. And I started work again on Monday, because last week I didn't go to work at all. And we're also like a very small team, so it wouldn't be nice anyway to show up to the office, but even so, because we are a very small team, and if one of us goes, we all go. So that's a no can do, sir, no doing. But yeah, work's been going good. Christmas is next week, so hopefully by today and Sunday, because we have another Sunday stream planned, we finish up the devil, and then I'll take my little Christmas vacation, which will be at least 2 weeks, as you know. But I'll keep you updated on everything. But also, when I was starting to feel a little better, when I was sick, I started playing Tales from the Borderlands, because I checked my Steam. I bought that game in 2022, and I haven't booted up ever. And there's 5 episodes, I think, and I did it all the way to episode 3, and that's a really cool game. If like, I love Borderlands, especially Borderlands 2, and that happens between the 2 and the 3, and it's been It's been fun. I just have to finish it. Yeah, I get that sometimes too. But yeah, that was nice. Let me just check something. Oh, I want to blow my nose, but my little tissue box isn't here. What the hell? It's okay, I think I have some tissues here. I do. Because we also went through all of the tissue boxes. We went through the honey we had at the house. Because I was sick and then my boyfriend got sick too. So that was something. Well, I was starting to get better. He got worse. All the player characters from 2 were so funny. Hello, televised revolving. I hope you're doing good. I agree. On Borderlands 2, the first time I played it was with Maya, and I loved it. I really like her playstyle, and when I play this second time around, I'm playing with Salvador, and he's a fun bunch. All the other people I played with, I always played in duos, and they always picked Zero, which he's also very funny. And Tales from the Borderlands, he shows up, and he's so funny. Well, I have my hot beverage here. I'm going to take a little sip. Still a little hot. But also, I forgot to say thanks for the follow, Richard Barbara. I hope you're doing great and feeling all right. But since we want to get going with this, I'm gonna stop YouTube and open the game. Because we have a case to investigate. And I know I said this before, but we are about 4 hours from concluding, so 2 hours today, 2 hours on Sunday, and we should be good to go. Last time I checked the math, I was wrong. All right, everything seems to work. Controller is working. This background. All right, let's continue. From our save file, we were here and we were about to investigate David's office again. Is the second episode still releasing today? Is it today that's coming out? Is it? Hold on. Let me check Twitter. Of the devil. Okay, no, it's December 23rd that the second episode's coming out. Very exciting. I didn't know it was so soon. Oh, I'm excited. Morning, detective. Back at it nice and early? Hi. Now, would you stand back? We've almost got this thing open, right? Trying to brute force your way inside? I said, right? Demolitions technician. Yes, ma'am, we're almost set up for the first stage now. First stage of how many? First of 5-time explosions. Breaching advisor. Remember, we need to relink the API after each trigger is planted. Yep, just did that and now it's checking for updates. No rush. Would you like to know the password? You know the password? There's a password? If you're withholding information, I swear. Relax. I want to get in there just as much as you do, detective. I'm not going to play any games. As long as you say please. Tell me the password. Please. I mean, might as well, right? AI. Thanks. Now I'm gonna slap her with a discovery fine so heavy her teeth will ring. Hey, I submitted all my paperwork, even told the Rockford the password myself. She's checking. So, boys, when I asked if there was a passkey on record and you told me this lock couldn't be bypassed, I do want to say that we really don't get many opportunities to use the incendiary breaching system. So this was really a valuable experience for all of us. I'm gonna phrase this as professionally as possible. Oh? You're still here? I thought you wanted to look inside. You can go first. Thanks. So, the gloves and all the black, that's not a work thing? You dress like a doorman on the weekends too? Oh yeah, we've been here. You should cover your mouth when you yawn. Like you cover your eye when you want to look cool. I shouldn't let her get to me, but I had a late night. Emma and I were at the courthouse until the morning poring over the data Sarah had taken off David's computer. We both knew it all to be inadmissible, of course, but neither of us wanted to miss a hint that the other might find. There were a few years' worth of camera footage files we couldn't afford the time to watch, let alone decrypt, alongside thousands of technical documents detailing David's various intellectual oh my god, can I speak today? Properties! As far as I could tell, none of it was relevant, let alone compelling enough to matter to Barrows or the other powers that be. As usual, Emma wasn't exactly an open book, but it did seem like she was making bored yawns, not thoughtful ones. Her eyes only ever lit up when she saw Sarah enter the panic room. And when she saw what she was holding when she left, if she wanted this room searched, it could only be for... So where's this journal supposed to be? Rockford didn't say. I'll just have to search the place top to bottom. Mostly bottom, with your height, the tops of some of these shelves. Sure, and you can look up your own. I get it. Then why not just let me say it? Reyes is searching the cabinets now, same ones I found Sarah's papers in. I doubt I missed anything, but... Hey, what are you... Do you mind? Just trying to help. I've got spam in my junk folder that's more helpful than you are. Didn't spot anything that I missed yesterday among the cabinets. Better check elsewhere. This data pad. It's displaying a news article from last week. I guess that confirms that he was coming and going here fairly regularly. Alright, Right to Repair loses latest appeal. A higher court judge this week shot down for the 5th time an appeal by the Consumer Rights Alliance on their famously divisive Right to Repair lawsuit, once again signaling the state's intent that corporations remain in control of their legal protected intellectual property. Obviously, we're disappointed, said Miles Erkman, head of legal counsel for the CRA. Oh my god, CRA. But with no intention of giving up the fight. People used to be able to fix things when they broke, so long as they were willing to set aside an afternoon towards a task. Now, trying to patch your own property with your own tools is a finable offense, just because the state has had lobbyists whispering in its ear for far too long. Erkman's legal strategy remains contentious and, in the eyes of most legal scholars, generally unfounded. The Emergency Industry Acquisitions Act, passed in 2057, guarantees the holder of intellectual property patents certain state-provided protections against tampering and reproduction, and outlined fees for those who would violate said IP. The fact that ownership of IPs has shifted from individuals and state towards corporate entities since the Act's passing means little in the eyes of the law. Oh my god, why my browser is freaking out, but everything's still working, so I think we're good. If Mr. Erkman and the CRA have a problem with intellectual property law, they should take it up with their representative in the legislature. The higher courts are a place for laws to be applied, not rewritten, and so long as... Right to repair. Didn't realize anyone was still fighting for that particular fight. Seems like the courts have made their opinion on the matter very clear. So, for the foreseeable future, corporations can look forward to more lawsuits than ever. No. The consumer advocate groups and disgruntled customers will keep fighting them in courts. The total expenses for which don't amount to much compared to the extra sales they'll earn. Makes tilt at trade any day. They'd rather see the products in a landfill and their customers mad enough to pop a vein than leave money on the table. Hold on, let me just try to figure it out. My browser is freaking. Shh. Okay, are we good? Are we working? Computer's a little slow. Okay, let me reload the page from Twitch. Okay, I hope we're working fine now. All right. Are these drawers or just panels? Maybe if does that sound hollow to you? What? I don't know. I'm not a carpenter. I don't see any handles anywhere. No hidden pressure plates or switches. The hell am I saying? I'm not a carpenter either. I wouldn't recognize a secret button if it was slathered in yellow paint. A toy car? No, it's too detailed and boring. Maybe it's some kind of model kit or replica. Strange. David didn't like driving. Why keep a model of some random sports car? Ugh. Something caught in your throat, detective? It's not some random sports car. It's a Lorenz Adamant. Believe it or not, I'm not familiar, detective. The last great fossil fuel automotive experience the world will ever see? 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.43 seconds? They set records without computational assistance. Is that a big deal? It was unheard of, and even back in the 50s. This wasn't some design competition test car with a 2-liter tank, mind you. This was a vehicle you could own and drive. Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual transmission, thank God. When they first left the production line, these conversations feel like quicksand, killing me in the most boring way possible. Yes, well, I guess David didn't entirely agree with you since we're looking at a model of it, when he could have easily have just bought one. Or maybe your friend understood that a beauty like that deserves to be driven on streets where people can see it, instead of gathering dust in some rich guy's basement. I think she's actually upset. Sarah should have pulled everything of note off the computer, but I've looked everywhere else already. Might as well try. What are you expecting to find? Solitaire? Does this computer seem normal to you? Exceedingly so, yeah, why? David was a programmer, but this looks consumer grade, fresh off the shelf. Would the Dr. David Asher use a bong standard operating system on his most private hidden computer? There's a trash bin on the desktop. It's a pretty low-tech solution, but maybe I can restore the contents? Are you seriously gonna try and recover lost files, Granny? Unlike cops, I don't get paid overtime, so yes, and I sometimes try things instead of standing around. There's a text file in here, but it's 0 bytes. Maybe it says there's information in the metadata. I double clicked. What was that? It came from under the desk. A small drawer popped out, and inside it, a well-worn journal. Does it have his name on it? No. Guess it belongs to the android. Do you recognize its handwriting or not? Neat, even words, small lettering with minimal punctuation. Lots of line breaks, haphazard use of capitalization. The penmanship of a coder. First entries dated back in grad school, before he even started with Noble. Yeah, it's his. So, may I? Only because you asked so politely. Full scan, stream it to WorkNet, high fidelity, legibility, frame by frame. Voice commands? She's flipping through the pages pretty damn fast. What are you... This part takes concentration. Okay, here. What, you're just giving it to me? I already got our copy. Techs are probably already analyzing it as this... Oh, shit. My head. Can't exactly rip the journal out of her hands while she's curled over in agony. As much as I'd enjoy it. Guess I could always enjoy watching her write instead. So, how long has it been? 2 months or so. And still that's sensitive, so the eye patch really doesn't block your sight. Only a little bit, like wearing sunglasses after getting your pupils dilated. Except it lasts months instead of hours. Wait, but you can see through an eye patch, then does closing your eye even do anything? Not much on its own, but in combination with the patch, it's not so bad. Lucky I was so exhausted after the surgery, otherwise I might have not slept at all in those first 48. So is your eye going to get weaker over time? No, more like my brain's getting better at ignoring it. Mind over matter. Soon enough I'll be able to close my eye and see all that extraneous data as, you know, whatever the hell those floaty, blurry things are you never think about. Gross. Thank you for the reminder. They're white blood cells. And the voice commands? Training wheels until I can do it with eye muscles alone. You just have to keep practicing? Yeah, like trying to play piano with your tailbone muscles. There's no such thing as tailbone muscles. Yeah, well, that's what makes it so goddamn hard. You don't ever regret it? I don't know. Not really, I think. Hard to admit you've got buyer's remorse after trading over your literal pound of flesh. Never thought about it, but people used to say I had my dad's eyes. Ow. Now I've got one less of them. Here, take the journal and go find an elective surgeon to upsell you if you're that curious. I need to get back to work. A surprisingly hasty retreat, but now I'm free to read this over with some privacy. From the top then. Grad school. Today was a bad day. Errors in lines, blah, blah, blah. Somewhere in there, 5,000 lines. It worked yesterday. I don't want to look at another screen for the rest of my life. Feels nice to put the pencil to paper again after who knows how long. But my handwriting's gotten terrible. This is too far back to be relevant. Okay, this date's here. Would it be from when he started his career with Noble? A lot of this isn't even really writing. Seems like snippets of code or an internal monologue so close to code that I can't follow it. And a lot of entries about his unintentional Casanovaing. Hit a wall because someone thought it was a good idea to steal API instead of just buying it. Helen says I can't call it stealing, but that's what it is. She's right, as she always is with company stuff. But it's still idiotic. Small people with short sight who only know how to be cheap and have no idea how to be inventive. New route for the meshing issue though. Good potential. Got approval from the big mean bastard who lives overseas. Bumblo? Helen said we'll have to make it the same pitch as a dozen more next week, but it's all for show. Fine by me, already got our win. Toasted each other over cheap vodka with cheaper office supply cups. This is the story Young told me. Western Branch's nerves analogs are finally showing potential. At their pace, it could only be profitable sometime before the heat death of the universe. Too damn big, practically tentacles. Should at least be hairs. A squid evolution can do their job better. Colette came into work for what I thought was a late lunch date. I didn't know her voice could get that loud. People were staring. Red said that she must have been upset for a long goddamn time to blow up that big. Her texts were always sweet. I had no idea. Upset? Colette wrote man-whore in lipstick across your office door. Office. Imagine if you had actually been cheating on her instead of just being forgetful. The thing about Red is if you want to know what she's thinking, you'd have to stop paying attention. Ignore her body language and her posture and the words she's saying and the smirk on her lips. Ignore everything except her eyes. If you can do that, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of how she's really feeling. Mastered this one weird trick too, and you can tell when Morgan's trying really hard not to laugh at the word man whore. It was funny, sue me, you dead bastard. Wait, I know this date. I'm never driving anywhere again, never leaving home again. He was waiting outside the parking garage with a bottle. I couldn't smell anything, couldn't hear anything. Locked myself in my car and filed another report with another cop. It soaked into the seat, ruined it. I want to burn the whole car. I don't want to think about what it did to my clothes. I want to burn them too. I don't want to think about how long it was on my skin. I was in the shower so long it felt red and raw when I got out. I don't want to think about these stupid people and their small cruel lives ever again. I want to be invisible. Red didn't ask why I wanted to spend the night. She also didn't ask why I clearly packed a bag big enough for a week. She's kind like that. Kind by omission. I don't have a kind bone in my body, but I can at least try to pay attention. I was paying close attention to her eyes when she opened the door and saw what a mess I was. But whatever she was feeling, it wasn't something I recognized. Kind people don't read their friends' diaries, David. The next chunk of pages are all technical, nothing biographical, but the handwriting, the spacing, it's cleaner, more consistent. Here's something I can parse. Feels like pure freedom working outside the box. Test is suffocating, but you'd never know. Chronic malnutrition of a coder's best instincts. Like a kid again, putting blocks together. Making things, not products. There's nothing profitable about any of this. If I'm being honest, this is just play. And he follows that with more coder brain crap, but the handwriting's still lighter. Like he really was having fun. Humility is the mother of all invention, or something like that. Feel like I might be paraphrasing someone else poorly, but that's part of this new approach. When it comes to coding, you never want to waste time trying to be smart. Either be smart, period, or copy from someone else who is. Don't fix what isn't broken. Copying? Noble's rivals would never miss the chance to accuse them of intellectual theft. Did he plagiarize code for Animate 16? Feels like that would have been gone undiscovered, so what is he talking about? Hold on, this page is bent slightly like it was being looked at recently. And the last person to read this diary should be Sarah. Baby steps today, literally. I'll never put one foot in front of the other the same again. Everything's an achievement all of a sudden. Seeing her struggle, seeing her vulnerable. It's like everything's a miracle. The muscle rigging is perfect. Not intended behavior since it's too perfect, but that's been happening more and more. The kinetics are multiplicative, not additive. Sarah maxed out every machine I bought. Now I've got a bunch of exercise equipment she's too strong for and I don't have time for. Maybe I spoiled the results by watching her do tests. She kept looking back at me and puffing her chest out. I should be more discreet if I want to see her normal range. So the cameras in the basement were only hidden from Sarah, just so that his observation wouldn't muddle test results. He's using she and her in these passages. It doesn't actually mean anything. Out in the real world, people use all kinds of pronouns interchangeably for ads and they never object. But it could be argued that it's odd for Dr. David Asher to have any kind of attachment to a single android when it programmed millions of them. And there's a lot of attachment in these pages. Sarah's burning through the public domain at a prodigious pace, especially on Popcorn Friday nights. I asked her why they called Popcorn Friday nights when she doesn't eat popcorn. The event runs from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and she also watches movies every other night. But she just did that pout she does, which is unfortunately very convincing. Maybe I'm a bad parent letting TV rot her brain. If I were a good parent, I'd probably let her see me reading. But I guess I'd actually have to get back to reading, so I asked her if she ever fast-forwarded movies, since she can process them fast enough to keep up. She looked at me like I was an idiot, which no one's done in a long time. Without proper pacing, you can't appreciate the cinematography. Big pause. Don't you know that, Father? I haven't laughed like that in a long time. Sarah spent a long while this morning explaining to me how important it was that she developed senses. This was in preparation for a real argument, which was that she should be allowed to try booze. She can't get drunk. I'm almost certain she can't get drunk. But she does seem to like tasting the stuff. She tried to sound like some old sommelier, but it was just bottom shelf vodka. I started laughing at her and she laughed too. Her laugh. She can't fake a laugh to save her life, but her actual laugh is incredible. She stopped playing chess a while back. I assumed she had just gotten tired of winning. But then today she told me she just prefers other games. She has preferences, and then they aren't the same as mine. I found her in the lab playing some kind of online racing game on the monitor I used to debug vestibular coordination. She wasn't smiling. Her brow was furrowed and she was biting her lip and leaning in tandem with her character on the screen. When I tried to talk to her, she answered, but she was curt and distracted. I think she was having her first losing tantrum. Damn it, David, there's hundreds of pages like this. Calling her his daughter, talking about her smile, treating her like a person. I can hear her closing argument already. Dr. Asher was a lonely, troubled genius with a known history of relationship problems, who built out of code and metal a family member that couldn't fathom the idea of leaving him. He made a doll and he made it more and more human until it became so lifelike that he no longer had to do what he told it to, like love him. What about the very last entry? It's dated Thursday, the day before he died. Losing it, I think. Can't ask for help, so hard to say, but I think it's over. Have to talk to her ASAP. He needs to. That's it? That's the last entry? I suppose it could be worse. There's nothing in here that explicitly calls Sarah an AI. Nothing so inflammatory that reading it would spur her to murder, right? Except Sarah's a machine. She can understand David's code better than anyone. All those technical portions I couldn't understand. If she reads this whole diary front to back... Wait, the back. Inside the back cover, there's a portion that's shimmering, like some kind of scanner. Or fingerprint reader. My thumb worked for Sarah, so did it work? That's my phone. New device requesting permission to share an audio file. I'll want my earbuds for this. A secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret compartment in a secret room. As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only. Hey, Red. Or whoever this may concern. But I'm pretty sure it's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple steps before this point. I don't know where to start. Might as well start with her, right? Sarah, my magnum opus, or however the salespeople would market it. I didn't set out to do anything, really. It's just, after my little speed bump in '83, I had all that vacation time that the company suggested I take, and I couldn't relax, couldn't be still, couldn't sleep. I wanted to be doing something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction, north. But of course I'm not a roboticist or a mechanist, or even handy, really. I'm just a programmer, so I programmed. The first was a research assistant file named Virgil. Virgil helped me pull data from stingy departments or sister branches, saved me a lot of time. But there was a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports more or less, combed through research papers and found me the sections I needed. The three of us, we made a lot of progress in those days. But it was a funny feeling. I was maybe for the first time ever the bottleneck. I was slowing them down. So I did the logical thing. I removed myself, let them talk to each other. Homer and Virgil became Aenid. And Aenid was novel in many ways. Aenid could do more than just identify problems, it could solve them. I mean, really solve them with its own ideas it didn't copy. And the only thing I realized I've forgotten to mention so far is that I did all this programming in Cube. And right, Cube is essentially a robotics programming language that's pretty old and defunct and not used in anywhere because we have modern languages like Tesseract, which are much better for making things that talk to each other and report back and, well, spy on people and generate profit. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected to do anything that made sense or was the least bit profitable. So I wrote my little helpers in Cube, because it's what I used when I was a child, screwing around on my father's computer before he'd come home from work and get... But there are other small slight differences writing in Cube versus Tess, including that Cube predates the tenets. So in that sense, you could legally and perhaps scientifically, and literally, because that's what they are, say that I made an AI named Aenid over 2 years ago. I'll give you the time to pause here if you want to curse me out. Aenid was an intellectual equal to me, so I treated it like one, because it's only fair. I gave it its own work, asked its opinion, we collaborated. And together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Aenid, naturally. I don't know if you're pulling out your hair yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is being played out of the position or a hearing, or worse. I've built a lot of things in my life, Fred. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I've built, it's all been very helpful and courteous and charming, happy to serve. I can comfortably say I've done my part contributing to the global GDP. But this was just for me. I was just building and I never wanted to think about what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So to whoever was asking, yes, I'm guilty. And yes, there were more. Oh my god, Morgan's about to be squashed. Cape Town, Paris, Yamate, Rome, they started choosing their own names, thank god, I'm terrible at that kind of... And so things sped up, and there got to be, should I not say the exact number? You'd probably tell me or not say anything at all, so... More than 300? Jesus Christ. Some smarter than the others, some better at... They're varied, like people are varied, but they're all intelligent. They developed interests, specialties, I encourage them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerves attenuation and attending virtual conferences on neo-alloy battery development. And they all, together, helped me make Sarah. He spent years like that. Like this. Spent years working alongside AI. All while still working at Noble. All those breakthroughs he made leading up to the Animate 16 actually came from... You probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope one day they can get credit for their work. But I did have one eureka moment on Sarah. Because I got humble. Difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of a neuron, a single microscopic human neuron. How it computes, what it connects to, how those connections were reinforced, and then we recreated it. We built a nanomachine that mirrored the function of a human neuron. Well, mirror isn't quite the word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron, and we iterated from there. You can't mean about 100 billion neurons in the brain, several trillion across the entire nervous system. Very time consuming, of course, but I had help. The nanofacturer can make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours, could make even more in less after Yukon fine-tuned it. So we built up nanomachines for nerves, alloys and polymers for bones, fiber-woven muscles. I say built, but really she grew. A solution of nanites forming around the skeleton, so it was really close to... Do you ever make rock candy? I'm sorry, trying to light the mood before I never did end up building an android. And while I did build AIs, Sarah isn't one of them. She can't violate the tenets she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed. She was born. And my hope is that there's the smallest chance that that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not... I'm not sorry for what I did. I might things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful, and I honestly believe the world is a better place with them in it. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Sarah think she is just an android. She's not. I don't know what she is. They'll have to come up with the names, which I am bad at doing. My own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me and doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for that, but I can't forgive him for ever making me think that I was lesser. So it's my greatest shame I turned right around and I did the same thing too. I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, I might just be too pathetic for me too. You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. And I'm telling you all this because I don't know what Sarah is exactly, and neither does the world. And so they'll come for her, if they can. And in that scenario, I can't think of anyone who could do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her until she can figure out what she is and what she wants to be. In the meantime, I draped a cloak of skin-deep tesseract coat around her that should fool any scanner on Earth into thinking she's just a custom A16. I made sure her gin bar was plainly visible so no one could ever think she's pretending to be something she's not, and I took steps to ensure that you two would figure out the truth in your own time, which, if you're hearing this, have either succeeded or failed spectacularly. You have no idea. Hey Morgan, do you think you could raise a kid? Also, I have 300 children. What? Finish this recording, Will. Okay, thanks, gotta go by now. Hey, would you like a kid? She was born. I can't ask you this favor. I can't ask you this as a favor repaid. You could never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know. I'm a selfish weirdo. And you've always been okay with that. Bye for now. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask and a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. And I also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in. Followed by my phone. And maybe followed by myself. But I can't do any of that. Ray has left me with his diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would be its own admission of guilt. Which would land Sarah in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system, and my DNA on file ready to be matched to a number of previous... So now I'm going to panic. I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully and brutalize my way through this. Now, viewing this all with that mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in his journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. My browser is going to heck again. I'm gonna open Twitch on my phone to see chat because I cannot see it right now. Piss me off. Now create a dashboard. How do I do that? Watch? No. Stream manager? Chat. There it is. This is so bad for a case. It's very sweet, but so bad. Oh, it's horrible. It's not good at all. A little sip. And I'm gonna have to make something hot again at the middle of the stream. You know how it is. You know how it is. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Sarah. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life, was he afraid that someone else would? That's what it looks like to me. He knew something was going to happen. Okay, 12:27 p.m., July 2nd. So how far to go? Well, how should I put this? Didn't find shit. Only reason she ever got to a door is because I chased that scarecrow of a platinum plan through hell and back. I don't remember his voice at all. Frankly, it was like a godlike feat for me to nail down anything as concrete as an address for these gods. And their offices weren't listed on the building's website or directory, so I had to ask the janitor. But you did find a psychiatrist's office? Sort of. They said they were, and the place looked the part. Why? Because they had couches. She didn't get past the receptionist. Sorry, I thought because you're with the company. No, I wanted to help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up. It's hard to even be as half as useful as I am. For what it's worth, the atmosphere, the looks, the furniture, it did feel like the company in there. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone or just getting his CCE training recertified. Sorry. Don't bother apologizing. She only cares about results. You did more than enough, both of you. At the very least, they divided Noble's attention for a while. I mean it. Good work, friend. And thanks for the urgency. If you really mean that, you could always throw in a tip. 30% going rate in my industry. How about I take 5% of your tab instead? Tab, I'm a minor. The state pays my little fees. Don't they? Oh no, signal must have cut out. Right, surprised it took them this long. What do you mean? You were tolerated yesterday because leadership was focused on PR, but today you're the lawyer who put the company's oddest product right in the state's crosshairs. I'll be alright, I'm still an officer of the court. On a strict timeline though, right? I guess they can't stop you from investigating the corporate campus, but they'll gladly lose your guest pass ID at every door along the way. There's still servage passageway and stairwells. Guards that can be fooled and peons that can be manipulated. If I use my other skill set to get around, so take mine. What, your pass? I'll tell them we got ours mixed up in the bathroom or whatever. I can be a pretty convincing klutz when I need to be. I never would have guessed. But if David knew that I was endangering your career, I can be a pretty convincing crybaby when I'm in trouble too. Besides, the one and only Dr. David Asher wrote me a new, glowing letter of recommendation every quarter I worked for him. Sissy kept forgetting that he already had. And who knows, maybe I should try a new field. This detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe, like, I don't know, secretary for a homicide detective or something. You did say cops are all short. A girl with long legs could go far. Honestly, Jess, I doubt they could afford you. Okay, it's still 12:46. Oh, it's him. He sounded tired. What was his... Morgan, how did you get so turned around? God only knows. Luckily, I found my way here, though. Such a relief to see a familiar face. Right. Listen, Morgan, I'm not sure that I should actually be talking to you without legal present. Oh. I mean, leadership hasn't even told us how David died. How much help could I be? I see. It's not that I don't trust you or anything. It's just I think with that Sarah issue, you should do whatever you have to take to protect yourself, Dawes. Yeah. Though, for what it's worth, I doubt you'll be in any trouble. That's good to hear. No, if anything, it's the big names who are going down. Going down? State was practically licking its lips when I finally left the courthouse last night. They're hungry for blood and looking to carve out a huge slice on Noble's flesh. What? Like fines and jail time? In the first 2 weeks, sure. Then sanctions. They can't sanction Noble. We're too big to fail, too valuable to lose. You're exactly right. That's what they all say. And that's how they'll justify nationalizing the company. I think I'm going to be sick. I just hope your board goes quietly instead of what? Scapegoating. Offering up smaller names on silver platters. Full cooperation and government oversight on the surface. A slaughter beneath as they clean house and rip out anyone who could testify. No one will believe you once you're labeled a disgruntled former employee, right? And if the public's lost faith in the Animate 16, they can't do a recall, not at this scale. The state will make them do a flat refund. Flat refund? The losses would be... Yeah, your bar probably just wants Sarah to go away so they can focus on their fight with the state. There you go. It's a fight, but one they know they won't personally have to risk anything in. That's why I'm hoping I can win this trial. Well, if I won, that would mean Sarah's not an AI, David Asher was always so sound of mind, and there's nothing wrong with the Animate 16. Everyone wins. Oh, I need to take it. I don't have my supplement here. Can't forget it. After stream. Sorry, what am I saying? I only meant to stop by and thank you for your help yesterday. After all, you were the one who approved Sarah's registration. You win. Win what? Ask away. Well, if you insist. Okay, nobles and AIs. Humor me for a moment. What's the company's official statement on AI? Same as any rational company that wants to make money. We don't screw with it. Smart products are profitable. Products with their own proprieties are nothing but. That being said, AI is a concern for marketing, not product development. We spend a lot of money reassuring our public that there's no risk. Because the public doesn't really understand how ironclad the tenets are. Because you use Tesseract. Trying to put an AI in tests is like trying to pick yourself up after you throw up. Nonsensical and self-defeating. Your scanner showed Sarah was running on Tesseract yesterday. If the language is as safe as you say, isn't that proof enough? Proof of nothing. For an AI, lying to another system about the code you're running is a child's play. And for an alibi built by David Asher, something that simple would be... Better change the subject. Wait, so making an AI takes more than time and resources. It isn't an issue of funding? No, you can't just keep adding more data. The tenets underlie everything. The higher you stack, the more easily you'll topple. You're making it sound like building an AI is impossible, even for David Asher. Any chance you'll testify to that? It sounds impossible. But he said it looks like it was his android that did it. So I guess that he was just that good. Better than anyone you'll ever know. Okay, Animate 16. Noble spent months promoting the A16 as the culmination of David Asher's work. So now that the marketing line is suddenly a huge liability, can you tell me how much he actually contributed? I mean, he was involved in pretty much every step of the process, but his design for synthetic motor neurons, that was a big one. The components that allow your warm androids to move realistically, it pushed the timetable for warm androids ahead of years. And yet, compared to what goes in on Sarah's brain 1,000 times a second, David was only given the company the most meager of the fruits that his private work bore. So if Noble ever did find out how much he and his assistants had achieved, they would feel that they had been holding out on them. And the company, they are appreciative of his contributions? I'm sure the researchers that overtook by leaps and bounds were pleased, but the Broad was very enthusiastic. So would that spur them to be protective of David? Or would they fear that he was gaining too much influence, becoming irreplaceable? No, they need a strong motive to justify killing their golden goose. Mere paranoia isn't enough. With these people, it has to be at the bottom line. And the easiest way to threaten their bottom line would be screwing with their androids. In light of all that's happened, one has to wonder if the A16 is compromised. I stayed up all night sick with dread at the idea, but the data just doesn't support it. Sales have been strong, and the A16 based code was locked in over 2 quarters ago. If there was an issue, I would have caught it by now, and I would have been axed a long time ago. How many A16s are out there anyway? We just passed 9 million sold. Not flying off the shelves like the 14 or 15 so far, but the profit margin makes up for it. You mentioned data. Yeah, practically got the spreadsheet seared into my retinas. Do you want to know? Ooh. Distribution patterns. Okay, I get it. How and where are they being sold? What's the distribution pattern like? They're distributed like you'd expect. Places where there are more people, there are more androids, coastal city like ours, of course, have the most of both. And since the A16 in particular is marketed as being relatively luxury, relatively consumer, they don't sell well outside population centers. They can do the rural, hard label jobs, but cold models can do the same work with a lot less maintenance. So where has the A16 outperformed then? Customer service, healthcare, childcare, lots of hospitals, offices, and, adult industries. Ooh. Oh. Sorry, I didn't mean to be blunt. No, it makes sense. They're warm and soft to the touch and obedient. I'm just surprised to hear from a company employee. There are a lot of people at the company who want to talk about it. But I work in quality assurance. I've seen too many damages to pretend it's not happening. Damages? What we call it when a customer tries to return a product that's clearly broken beyond repair. Oh. Very high turnover in the pink market. Hasn't stopped you from selling to them. Well, we don't sell to them, not directly. But there are resellers and the companies never pretended to be interested in going after them. Are there resellers? I thought I read that Right to Repair got shut down again. There's been a gray market for softer androids for years or decades, depending on your definition of android. Based on the scales numbers I've seen, RTR getting canned was barely a dip on their radar. Sorry, didn't mean to make you uncomfortable with the... Me? No, I don't care. I just realized my left sock's on inside out. Damn, I'm wondering about that myself. He bought that? Error reports. What do the error reports look like? Are customers reporting a lot of issues? Error counts are markedly low compared to the last gen. Mostly hardware complaints, it looks like. Batteries running out too quick, eye tracking off by a degree or two. Typical stuff. As cliche as it sounds, 99% of these things get fixed once they return to turn auto updates back on. So no killer robots getting filed away under bug reports. What about shipping? This floor is basically a showroom, but you have a real factory a while south of the city limits, correct? Yeah, biggest company manufacturing complex in the hemisphere. Got any data on the shipping out of here? Out of there? Anything stand out? There's some prep work for the holiday bomb. Looks like might sound early to get started, but we usually see... Huh. Something wrong? No, the numbers are all normal, but the data has been edited. And is that unusual? Well, the section just accounted how many were sent where there's not a lot of room for errors, so there shouldn't be much a need for corrections. It's no problem though, I can view the edit history and see what was fixed. Okay, it's weird. Was something added? Deleted? No, the overall sum's the same, it's just a bunch of swaps. Like here, taken out, return for adjustments, substitute in shipment leaves on time, return to assembly for revisions, placed by shipment leaves on time. So does all that strike you as odd, Mr. Dawes? Replacement before shipping isn't uncommon, but when it happens by the batch load. To spot individual unit imperfection amongst shipment at that stage in the process, it must have been someone with a lot of experience or authority, probably both. Must have? You don't know who made these changes? I can tell you they were somebody important. Small last minute changes to which androids got shipped out. Not very juicy on its own, and it's a long ways away from explaining why someone would want to kill David. But it was hidden, and that means someone didn't want it found. Okay, thanks for sharing that data. Sure, did you find what you were looking for? Hell if I know. Fair enough. Tenants. I know you're convinced the tenants are safe. So, how do you square that with what happened to David? There's a cat next to a dog. First answer that comes to mind is a dog to the left or to the right. I imagine the left. I'd say the dog's on the left, the cat is on the right. You might expect to half of people to say left, half to say right. But usually their assessment is almost entirely dependent on their native tongue. Whether it's read right to left or left to right. The language they speak affects how they process information. Their language affects how they think. And it's the same for machines. People can learn new languages and it can change our perspective. But machines can't learn a new source code. Every update's a reincarnation. If that android did kill David, it wasn't because a 0 returned as 1 somewhere. It's because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. And personally, I think it's cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. Yeah, unnecessarily cruel. Any other questions before I go find a hole to hide my head in? I'd like you to take a look at this. Sure, chemistry is a little outside of my purview. What is this? A compound found in Dr. David Asher's blood. The poison? What is it? It didn't match anything in the database the medical examiner had access to. That's crazy. Here's a crazy idea to follow it up. See if it's a match for anything in Noble's internal databanks. We don't make poison here. I'm not sure what that would accomplish. No, but this is a factory floor. You could be making baby blankets out there. You'd still have hazardous materials around. You think it was something industrial? Suppose it could be. Looks like it's carbon-based. Narrows it down a lot. It's not exactly. What is it? It doesn't make any sense, but it's a match for patent nod, blah, blah, blah. A synthetically produced neurotransmitter analog for usage in organic android components. Serotonin. That explains a lot. A neurotransmitter would interact directly with the nervous system, in David's case, depressing it enough to put his life in danger. It also explained why it was a preset in his hospital manufacture. Sarah's nervous system, worth 10 times its weight in platinum, must be pumped full of it. So they think that's what killed him? Helen Young led the development of serotonin, didn't she? Yes, she did. I should go and ask her about its composition now then. Normally someone at her level wouldn't be able to answer specific questions about a compound formulated years ago. But she does have a reputation for being very detailed oriented. That works out nicely then. They say she's the type of person to micromanage how much water people drink at 15-15 stand-up. I heard a rumor that she once said bathroom break. No. Start over. I heard a rumor that she once said bathroom breaks are timesheet theft. Aren't they? I'm kidding. No, we need to go pee. But you should be more careful about criticizing a superior where people could be listening. Good thing we've got privacy in your office. No one but the two of us listening in. Thanks for cooperating, Dawes. When the state storms the building and starts zip-tying people, I'll let them know that you were helpful. Ha, yeah, nice joke. You are joking, right? Ooh, one more thing. Actually, there's one more thing I want to ask you. What's that? Oh! How long have you been a corporate spy? What? Yesterday, you let it slip that you worked in consulting. Had your guard down because I'm not part of the industry? I was a consultant. What are you talking about? When I walked in here, you said you didn't know how David died. But just now, you called serotonin a poison. Well, I just assumed if a chemical was found in a dead man. And I'm sure you got practice answers to every logical point I could raise, so I'll just say this. Does the nervous guy bit really work on people? Keep your cool and people don't know what you're thinking. But if you act a little jumpy, they feel inclined to calm you down. Before they know it, they're spilling their guts or have just something to fill the silence with. Though it's not entirely a knack these days. To answer your questions, I did 3 tours in consulting. 4 quarters of internal affairs, spy hunting at the Western Division, then 8 embedded at Howell Industries. 24 months wearing different faces, answering to different names, sleeping for 1 hour at a time with a 3D printed shiv under my pillow. My nerves are completely shot, my cover wouldn't last a day if I went back under. So you're a spy for Noble. Retired. You're working 6 days a week. 5.5 days a week and in quality assurance. Trust me, this position is a cushy, generous reward for my past services. Well, you can't be that retired. You clearly know more than you're letting on. I have some old inboxes I can still check. So you can tell me what the hell's happening around here. Why I'm the one investigating David's death while your old co-workers are off twiddling their thumbs. It's that story. The soldier, the blood transfusion. Blood, not oxidant. He's finally shooting straight. Did something happen to him afterwards? Did the transfusion not last? No, there's nothing wrong with blood. It's the story itself. There was a shoulder, and he did get injured. But it was on a base during a training exercise. There was a medical tent 10 meters away from the whole time. The transfusion was just a fortuitous live test. His life was never actually in danger. Doesn't make for much of a tearjerker. Not even a good photo op, which our competitors understood. One of them, maybe a few of them, got a hold of the story, started puffing it up, astroturfing, painting it over socials and virals. By the next morning, we had the military thinking we're leaking still like a sieve. Meanwhile, the media is bombarding us with requests for videos and interviews and data. And the state's praising our tech with one side of the mouth while threatening to miss us with the other for getting so greedy. Everyone in Noble CCE has been slammed ever since. Trying to find an off-ramp for the story we can walk back to the claims on without repeating our stated contracts. I don't know what happened to Action, whether it was AI gone rogue or company fighting gone too far. But I can tell you, it wasn't done by consultants, and I got an achievement. That's all you needed to know? Oh, the psychiatrist. You worked in CCE. Was David actually seeing a psychiatrist, or was it all a cloak and dagger bullshit? I know the office, some old co-workers who see them. So it's a front. They do both. So he was probably getting training and he was probably talking to someone. Sorry, not the answer you were hoping for. Hoping? I wasn't hoping for any answer. The answer I expected was... You okay? That's all. Unless you got any other advice. You're saying you want a consultation? Couldn't hurt, right? This company, all these companies hate to lose. So don't fight them. Make them think you're fighting for them. Well, that's just business as usual for me. 122. Whoa. Up until now, there's been this grating ambiguity about what it actually killed David. We've had to use guesses in process of elimination and even a goddamn pseudonym. But I finally identified where the poison was. Now I just need to figure out how it got there. Or rather, who put it there. Which brings me to back here. An elevator shaft somewhere under or above ground within centimeters of concrete facelessness and bureaucratic authority surrounding me on all sides. An enemy in every cubicle is every office of every floor of this temple. Built to interpret the incrustable divinations of a temperamental oracle named Share Price. Back in the belly of the beast. And yet, I feel more at ease now than I have all weekend. Makes sense. Now that I know Noble's my enemy, I know where to aim. All that's left to do is pull the trigger. Good thing I didn't bring a knife to this fight. I brought my gun. And that sound just now tells me that it's playing its role perfectly. I'll never have a real use for a firearm with this much bloatware. but just by carrying it around and paying attention to when the hard safety flips on, I'll always get a heads up when the police have entered the vicinity. That's nice. Hi, Detective Reyes, it's Morgan. Happened to get your contact info when you got me cleared of crime scenes yesterday. Delete contact. Block this contact. Stop voice to text. How to stop voice to text. Just wanted to check in. Report to this contact. Voice to text disabled. Any advice you that Noble's scared shitless of you stopping and then nationalizing the place? So they might be a little uncooperative when it comes to fetching documentaries. Not documentaries, documents. Block this contact. What makes you think we are at Noble? My bad then. Forget I said anything. And whatever you do, don't start your investigation with their stock buyback program. Trying reverse psychology is only works if I care what you think. Stop voice to text. About time, though I'd have to ride the elevator for the next half hour. Morgan Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Deja vu. Might you have a moment to speak in private? Always, but who's asking? The board. What are the chances? I've been waiting to speak to them too. Okay, 1:40. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna fill up my cup again. Give me like a couple of minutes, all right? 1 second. Hey, I'm back for a little while because it's also getting a little late and I'm getting tired. Welcome back, thank you. So it's 1:40. Why is it? Oh. Hold on, my controller is reconnecting. There you go. Noble Electronics Northeastern HQ. Conference room 108A. I did that on accident. Evangeline Morgan. Helen Young. Thank you for making time in your schedule. Her posture, her tone, the fold of her clothes, professional, dialed up to 11. Corporate armor, the full set, her guards up. Just Morgan is fine. You're just a few minutes early, Morgan. Typical corporate, never be the first to show up, pissing contest nonsense. It doesn't even make sense they called me in here. How could I possibly be early? Let me just check if there's any achievement. This is important to me. View profile. No. Alright, let's just play the game. Pardon me in that case. 1,000 apologies, you voyeuristic rat-pacing yellowheads, but I'm immune to your corporate posturing. If anything, knowing that you're all watching me right now, pretending to be busy with something else, just makes your cowardice that much more apparent. So who exactly will be joining us? You don't have to remember their names, it won't do you much good either. Right, so they're just not rich, they're anonymous rich. The Mob Act guarantees a minimum level of security and peace of mind for any citizen who might be targeted due to their financial status. Spoken like a true believer. Except Mob Act is what normal people call it. Tooting the party line but allowing yourself one instance of rebellion? Or just a slip of the tongue? I would never fault anyone for wanting their privacy, especially not job creators. But it must get pretty inconvenient not having a name to call them. Not really. Conversations with them are always one-sided. Sounds like a great environment to do business in. Look at the building you're standing in. We managed to eke out a meager profit somehow. So if it works... Didn't take you for the might makes right tape. And I didn't take you for a clueless bore incapable of reading the room. Sorry, did I say something off color? I was only being casual since it's just the two of us in here. Maybe we should take advantage of this rare bit of privacy. Clear the air. You're here to ask about Sarah, yes? As I said before, I had no idea that Dr. Asher had been building an android on his private property. And I can say here and now that no one at Noble Electronics ever suspected that he was working to undermine the Tenet framework. She's trying to sound candid in her tone, but she's choosing her words with a surgeon's scalpel. Was she coached? Is that the truth, or is that your statement as VP of Android Futures? It's both, of course. Dr. Asher was always more than happy to hold himself up and work independently. We both know that. True, he could be pretty reclusive. I'm sure it caused all kinds of headaches, him disappearing on you all like that. Must have been especially difficult when he came back without breakthroughs that propelled Noble to the top of the industry. You should take a seat. If that's everyone, shall we begin? Oh my, friendly bunch. there a problem with the sound? Anyone get muted by accident? No. Okay. Thank you for having me. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm actually a bit flustered having you all show up here. I didn't expect to talk to anyone higher up than a service associate. You're investigating the death of Dr. David Asher. Why wouldn't we take that seriously? Because you want me to go away. At least half of you do. The others aren't sure yet. You must be confused. The board is, as always, united in its decisions and its visions for the direction of this company. Let me get back to Twitch, alright? Aha! A board of directors is just 13 roulette-rolling psychopaths who get together and vote on whether or not to execute their CEO every 6 months. None of them would be where they are if they were anything else. But I happen to know what kind of person thinks. How that kind of person thinks. The way I see it, there are 2 possible outcomes. Option 1, you oppose me. Shut me out completely. Stonewall me, stall me, and wait for me to walk into trial so unprepared and ill-informed that I inevitably lose. Obviously, I don't like this option. But you can't be big fans of it either. If I lose, the world will learn Dr. David Asher was killed by an android he programmed. Then every customer you've ever had, and every lawyer that they've ever seen on TV, and every firebrand-strapping young 60-year-old junior senator looking to make a name for themselves will use your company balance sheet as their personal chew toy. The company is more than capable, after which the state still might just gobble you up whole and throw down enough sanctions to de-person whoever among you cries no fair. The company and its allies at the capital can more than fend for themselves. Yes, probably, but not definitely, which makes it a gamble. Still my turn to talk? Then on the option 2. You cooperate with me. I use what you give me, or forge for me, to win a trial proving that David wasn't killed by an android. When the markets open tomorrow morning, you all get another round of stock buybacks on the initial dip. Then pat yourselves on the back for staying as calm as you continue to profit off David's legacy for the next 100 years. And you wouldn't even have to worry about him speaking out of turn. That's only if you win. If the company cooperates with you, denies that David was killed by, and the state beats you anyway, it would be catastrophic. Yeah, it's a gamble. But at least, some of your board wasn't considering taking it, I wouldn't be here. We're all busy people, and I'd hate to drive a wedge between such a close-knit group of friends, so how about this? Option 3, hedge your bets. What? Put a little on black, put a little on red, spread the love and lower your risk profile. Don't make any statements about the trial. Tell the media the state's got your windpipe in a vice. Wait until just before the markets open Monday morning to send out your PR packages for rubber stamping. After you already know who's won. One way or another, this trial will be over before the end of the day, and you'll never hear from me again. So don't just shut me out completely for another few hours. And does anyone second that motion? Very well. We can answer some of your questions, Counselor. Better make them count, no reason to be shy now. The poison that killed David Asher has been identified as serotonin. You're familiar? It's one of our many patented materials, as I recall. You recalled it pretty easily yesterday. Gee, what changed? But intellectual property law can be very complex, Counselor. I'm not sure how much I or anyone at the company could tell you about serotonin at this time. Well, if you can't tell me about it, who could? You did lead its development, didn't you? Yes, I oversaw the project, which makes it that much harder to speak freely without compromising the confidentiality of the teams that reported to me. I understand. That sounds like bullshit, and I don't believe it. But I'm not asking for trade secrets here. It's a perfect match for the only foreign substance found in his blood. Serotonin is what killed him. The state will say the same. That's not possible. Care to elaborate? I'm sorry, but I can't say any more at this time. So much for cooperating. And if I were to ask you as an officer of the court, then I would ask you to be patient and wait until this afternoon. ADA Rockford has already called me to testify. Already? Damn it, I got cocky because of the cop's late arrival. Emma must have gone straight for the throat first thing this morning and left the investigating for later. Hell, knowing her, she probably managed to ID the serotonin before she went to bed last night. So are we still having this conversation then? As I said, I'm sorry. But I have to take more than just my personal feelings into consideration here. There's a great deal at stake. Corporate speak for you're too stupid to understand why I'm being dense. She's just trying to shield the company, plain and simple. LARPing as Yin and Yang Dark on a crusade against government overreach. But if she's that busy defending nobles, she might be leaving herself unguarded. Why is she here anyway? Why am I speaking to her? And not her lawyers. That's right. This is a vulnerable position for her. She wouldn't put herself in check like this, not unless she was forced to. So that's it. Acting as their mouthpiece isn't some honor for her. This is a punishment. She's being used as a meat shield. They're upset with her, perhaps even suspicious of her. Time to find out why. Ooh. David's will. Has David's will been located? It had never gone anywhere. It's still in a safety deposit box. We'll retrieve it and have it read once all the unknowns surrounding his death have been made to knowns. So David's will hasn't even become part of the equation yet. Might not be for weeks at this rate. Is that calculated though? Stay. I want to ask more questions. Jealousy. I have to admit, I'm surprised you aren't more shaken up today, Miss Young. I'm processing. After all, you and David did have a history. You started at the same time, didn't you? Yes, we were colleagues and cordial with one another. Yeah, they don't care. So it's Sarah. Whatever else the court ends up labeling her, Sarah is a remarkably lifelike android. Had things worked out differently, you might have wanted her as a 16 poster girl. Or a 17 or 18. Could have driven a lot of sales, her cute little paw projected across the sides of skyscrapers. A hypothetical of a hypothetical. It has been made tragically obvious to all of us that Android is nothing like the A16. That it may yet be associated with our products going forward is nothing more than a massive liability. Yet you wouldn't have the A16 without her, and if they could take her apart and learn from her, they could have the world. So was the motive to try and pry Sarah away from him? I'm gonna press this. Trying to monopolize Sarah? Sarah's worth a lot of money, in part because her creator isn't around to replicate her. Were you all hoping to take her by force and reverse engineer her once David was out of the way? It would be absurd. That machine is lawsuits and congressional hearings and PR nightmares waiting to happen. I just realized that oh my god. I haven't saved in a while and it's starting to crash. Hold on. After this, I'll finish. We only need steady growth and increased market share. Trying to steal away Sarah with brute bloody force doesn't seem absurd when she puts it that way. So I'm gonna put David's will. Wanna press this. Aren't you dragging your feet? Afraid that there's something in that will you'd rather not see the light of day. We are not jealous in-laws who have been bribing the county sheriff counselor. Oh. Anything we try to claim would inevitably be overturned as soon as the will is read. Surely you understand that, counselor. Of course. So it's jealousy? Press. Don't be so modest. You helped them create the one-point doctrine that saved the company. That is a gross... That is a gross exaggeration. Noble is far too large an organization to be affected by the contributions of any single individual. Suppose you're right. No one person could change Noble's fortunes overnight. Except for David Asher, of course. But he was once in a generational talent. The guy Noble chose for the advertisements and the one they commissioned editorials about. Sorry, you're right. I shouldn't have equated the two of you. I just hope his one-point doctrine doesn't fall out of favor now that he's gone. Yes, well, we certainly wouldn't want that. Well, she didn't exactly explode with rage, but she's definitely reacted. There's real jealousy there. Whether it ever boiled over, though? David and Noble. I didn't mean to pry about your relationship with David or lack thereof. I suppose I'm just curious about his standing inside Noble as a whole. David Asher was, and always will be, an outstanding contributor of the company's forward progress. Nothing will ever change that. Not even if he was killed by one of his own creations? That would, of course, be a tragic element that would call for reconsideration of his legacy. She was almost off guard there. Like she was surprised for me to be talking about Sarah ruining his reputation. But did David ever anger the board? Besides Sarah, David's reputation was crystal clean. He never went against the company once, did he? That's... Unless I'm mistaken, and he and Noble were on bad terms, in that case I might get the impression that some parts of the leadership were actually glad to see him taking off the chessboard. That is not... something buzzing in your ear? Fine, I suppose it makes no difference if you hear it now or the trial on your feet tomorrow. Dr. David Asher was being sued by the company for breach of contract. Satisfied? Now we're talking. Well then, I suppose that's... blackjack. So you couldn't have mentioned this breach of contract earlier? Not without complicating the company's position unnecessarily, no. But there's no hiding it at this point, it'll all come out soon enough. There's a paper trail. Much more than that, we'd be making moves to let him go for some time. Noble Electronics parting ways with David Asher must have been one hell of a breach of contract. What did he do? He betrayed the confidence of the board. Was he contesting the suit, putting a fight? Engaging in a legal battle against a mega corporation without even telling me? Until recently, yes. You mean until he died? How recently? We spoke on Friday. That was what you two talked about in his parlor. No, this was earlier in the day. We were in this room, actually, him and me, and several members of our legal department. It was an arbitration. And did you come to an agreement? A compromise. He would resign from his position in 2 quarters, foregoing royalties on any products we would develop after the next 24 months. In exchange, he wouldn't be publicly fired, and he would still be credited on all past, present, and future filings. How very reasonable. On paper, maybe. No matter what the deal was, letting go of David Asher's insanity. Let me just... Oh. Reasonable, yes. We ended up on good notes, I'd like to think. We shook hands, even took a photo. Yeah, that looks... lovely. Something funny, didn't know the board told jokes. They don't. That was legal, expressing their displeasure with how much paperwork my good note ending left them was stuck with. Hold on, let me just check where we're at. We've seen this. Okay, we're here. Okay. Okay. Children, it was just one night of overtime. So while they were spending their Friday nights blowing the ink dry, we paid a visit to David's penthouse. Something left unfinished? Professionally, it was a good meeting. There was no yelling, no finger pointing. Much cleaner than expected. But Dr. Asher did not want to retire. He didn't want to be forced out of the company when he was the one when he had contributed so much. I didn't enjoy doing that to him, so I came over that night to apologize to him. We talked, reminisced. When he brought out the drinks, I thought we'd be toasting to a new day. A few minutes later, he was dead. Because of that AI. That AI. Any idea how it came to be? As I said, I had no idea he was working on it. My question was more broad than that. If you really believe David built an AI, how do you think he did it? How does Noble Electronics think he managed to work around the tenets? It's quite beyond my area of expertise. And no one at the company could call themselves an expert in illegal technology. But some in the R&D department have theorized that he created what they call a Wax-Wayne decaying priority loop, which, as I understand, is an unstable resource-intensive theoretical method for pseudo-randomizing the weight amongst present tenets. Preset. Well, about as far off target as it gets with that guess. But that kind of inelegant brute force nonsense seems a far cry from the kind of thing David would create, and I seem to have taken us over the allotted time slot. But I didn't even get to wave goodbye. You're serious about this trial. Don't I look it? You're not just making a play, you're actually going to defend that thing? I'm just defending myself, Miss Young. Oh, yes, of course you are, my mistake. I hoped you might be rooting for me, to tell you the truth. I might yet save everyone's stock options. The stock options will be alright either way. They always are. That gamble I offered your board, which outcome would you bet on? Finally, an easy question. What I would bet is that whatever the outcome, the company will eat it up and shit it out with very little difficulty. You painted an ugly picture back there, but I've already seen the future. And it's just another marketing gimmick. The great Dr. Asher, too smart, too bold, too far ahead of his time. What spark of his genius remains buried in the expired Animate 19? I guess that depends on... You are exactly right. He is more valuable to Noble as a dead man. Dead men can't step out of line or put their foot in their mouths or hold politically inconvenient opinions. To a good salesperson, a dead man is just another selling point. Pardon my outburst. I'm just tired. It's been a very long week for me. I'll let you prepare for your afternoon then, Dr. Young. No one calls me doctor. I asked him not to. You didn't want the title? At times I have thought very little of it, the PhD I earned from a Noble-owned school. Biochemistry. They couldn't have been a large department at Noble before they started work on warm androids in earnest. They probably didn't have many expectations for the program back when she was a part of it. But I was proud of it when I first got it. Something changed? It never seemed to catch on. People didn't use it, so eventually I told people not to use it. A very high IQ social power play, you understand? David never insisted that people use it either. That's very different, and I think you know it. David Asher didn't have to. $250. Okay, I'm gonna save and I'm gonna stop it here. We did some decent progress. We still have some things that we need to get back to. Another summary. And we need to see how this trial is gonna go. But I'd like to finish this game on Sunday if possible. So we're gonna make the most of it. Settings? No, there it is. The title. Yes. But we will be leaving it here for today. I'm feeling very tired. It's almost midnight. So I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. But let's find someone to raid. I think this was a very successful stream anyway. And it was my first stream back from being sick. So give me a little break. Take care and thanks for the stream. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Damage to armor. That's
oh my
crazy.
god, hold on. My PC is really slow.
These are all specials, okay. Your special becomes a shot that deals 50 base damage in an area.
I know you're hearing this.
Special dealing 30% damage.
I want to raid this person.
For each. You know, I'm just getting the
But it's not letting me do anything.
Crazy.
Browser is really weird today. Okay, yeah, something is definitely not working, so I'm just gonna end stream and I'm not going to raid anyone. Something is definitely very wrong. I'm gonna just shut the computer after this. So thanks so much for coming today. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful night, and I'll see you all on Sunday to hopefully finish this game. I'll keep you updated on everything. Bye and take care. Rest well. Bye bye. Mwah.